Daniel here with Rottweiler Tax. Still don't have a haircut, although hopefully that'll change soon. And it makes my hair look really bunched up around this headset, so awkward. But anyway, a lot of people had written in requesting that we do a video demonstrating how we set up a Excel spreadsheet to automatically make calculations for you within a cell. If you want to say make a total number of something. So to demonstrate this, what I have up on the screen here is my KPI dashboard. I just made a copy of this to sort of demonstrate how I run this. This is just a KPI sheet that I use for my marketing and sales. So this isn't necessarily an accounting spreadsheet, but that's all the more reason why I want to demonstrate this here, because this is not just a technique that works well for financial calculations. This also works well for making KPI dashboards. And if you want me to show you how I would make a KPI dashboard for a real estate agent, leave a comment below and let me know it's something you want. So what you'll notice here is, I don't know how easy this is to read. Hopefully it's not too bad. You'll notice I have on line 32 here, we have our totals. And what you'll see here is I have different columns. So strategy sessions scheduled, strategy sessions held. Now, this is going to be a fun column. We're actually going to come back to this column later. This is going to be the total number of bookings we got. So total number of new bookings. And then under here, we have ones that were rescheduled. And I do have a column for ones that were unqualified, where there wasn't a feasible way we could really be a help to the person. Now, I'm not going to use this column here, so I'm going to go ahead and just delete this entire thing. Now, what you'll notice is some of these have zeros in them and some of them don't. And those of you who are sticklers for detail probably already noticed why. The cell is not empty, nor does it have a zero. What it has is a command right here, or formula as Excel likes to call it. So I call it a command. I'm old school computers like that, but you'll notice that these don't have that yet. So all we have to do to make a cell auto calculate for us is enter the respective command or formula. Now, what I have in here, you'll see is equals sum, S-U-M, all caps, and then we have parenthesis here. And then within the parenthesis is actually a cell range. So you see F2 colon F31. So what this command actually does, if I click on it, you'll see it highlights what it's doing. So all this is set to do is add up all of these cells and give me a total down here. Right now, there's no data in these cells. So when I hit enter to confirm it, that shows up as a 0. But let's say I put a number in here. Put a couple numbers, just put different numbers in different lines. As you see, as I do this, that total automatically updates. I just threw a bunch of random numbers in there. And likewise, if I take them back out, it'll go back down. So first, what I'll show you is just how I would set this for one of these that doesn't have the equation already put into it. So total strategy session schedule. Let's say I had 3 one day, 5 this day, and 4 this day. So those are the ones that I had scheduled for that day in total across the organization. And you'll see that down here, we don't have anything yet. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to type in equals sum, left parenthesis, and then we're going to do B2 colon B31, and then we have to finish the parenthesis. That's the total equation. So when I hit enter, now it shows 12. If I were to put a 7 in here, it goes up to 19. Now, this is not purely limited to being able to add up all the cells within a range. You can add addition and subtraction to this. And so I'm actually going to show this using my bookings thing. Now, the reason I have this highlighted is because I want to demonstrate the math equation here. So with my bookings count, I set goals every month. I want to get a certain number of bookings across the entire organization. I want to count the ones that are scheduled for a given day, but I don't want to double count people who are rescheduled. So maybe on May 4th, I had a guy who was scheduled to do an appointment with us. But then maybe he scheduled that on the 2nd, so I put it down for the 4th because that's the day it's scheduled to be held. But then here on the 3rd, he sends us an email, hey, I need to reschedule for the 7th. So I reschedule him for the 7th. I don't want to complicate things by trying to go back and undo the count from a particular calendar. So I would put this under a no-show because it didn't show up. It was a cancellation that got rescheduled. I consider no-shows and cancellations to kind of be together here. So I have that cancellation. I don't want this to double count in my bookings. So over here, I have my reschedule column. Since this guy for this day was rescheduled, I put that 1 there. So how do I get this to add up correctly for my bookings column? Well, there's a really easy way for me to get this to show the unique bookings as opposed to the total bookings, because we already have these 2 columns set up to auto-calculate. So if I had other reschedules through the month, we'll say we had 2 here and 1 here. So now we have 4 reschedules. Now I don't want to have to manually calculate this every time I look at my KPI worksheet, right? So what we do here is we put an equal sum, same as before, but instead of doing a range, we're just going to have these 2 cells calculate together. So we're going to put B32. Now we want B32 to subtract the sum of the reschedule column. That's going to give me the number of unique bookings. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to put, instead of putting this colon, I'm going to put just a minus H32. And you'll see it highlights down here. It actually highlights these. So you'll know you're putting it in right when it highlights those. Put the last parenthesis, don't forget that part, it's important. Hit enter, and voila. So what's happening here is this sum this column is set up to add itself up, and this column is set to add itself up. Then to get the number I want, basically this is always going to be whatever this cell is minus whatever this cell is, because that's the range that I set, right? So as long as these add up and give me totals for these, I can get an accurate number. So now, if you're really creative with math and you want to take this command to the next level, I'll just really quickly show you. This works with just math equations. So you want to bear in mind, PEMDAS as you're doing this, because that's going to tell you how it's going to prioritize your equation. If you're not particularly math savvy, you can skip this part, but us millennials, when we were in school, were taught PEMDAS as please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. I was never a huge fan of that, and I'm pretty sure my Generation X mother was taught something different. So depending on how old you are, you might remember it as something else. But PEMDAS, just you're doing the parentheses followed by the exponents, and then multiplication and division are prioritized over addition and subtraction. So just to demonstrate this, I actually put I put multiplication in here just to kind of show you how this is going to calculate. So the base command is your equal sum, and everything after that, you're basically telling it what you want it to do. So what I did here was in the first parenthesis, B32 minus E32 times C32. And then in the second parenthesis is H32. And then between that is the addition symbol outside parenthesis. So here's how this calculates. If you're going by PEMDAS, well, we do the parenthesis first, and we prioritize multiplication. So what happens first is we multiply E32 by C32, that's 4 times 6, which equals 24. Then we subtract the, I believe product is the correct term. We subtract the product of that multiplication table from B32. So that's actually going to leave us with a negative number. That's 21 minus 24. That puts you at -3. But then we have plus H32. So after that calculation has been completed, we're at a -3, but you're adding in the base 4 from H32, which puts you at a total 1. You went from -3 plus 4 equals a +1, or just a 1. That's how this equation works. If you want to get creative with it, you can. I would say for the most part, just use this. You can just use this the most basic way possible, which is, make it the sum of a set of cells. Now, one thing I'll throw out to you here, it's important not to overlap. So let's say notice how this is adding through down to 31, which is the last number before the total. If I made this E32, it's going to create an error. So don't create errors. And as you can see, that's going to completely screw this up, and that actually messed everything else up. But if I correct this, now it's back to normal. So last thing I'll show you before I wrap this up. Now in this example, and this is again part of why I chose this, I have a line for each day. Sorry, I have a row for each day. So you'll see it goes by date. Now obviously that's going to lead to a problem if you go from a month with 30 days to a month with 31 days. So it raises the question, will this be able to figure that out? And the answer is yes. Watch this. So I go down to my totals column. I'm going to do insert just to add a blank row. Now, as you can see right now, there's nothing in this. Totally blank row. And you'll see that this is still set to add up there. But if I go here to this cell, I messed that up. If I want to go to this cell, Drag this little corner down. That's going to add the date. Now you are going to have to go in and correct this. Right now it's adding through 31. Since I now have an additional row, I'm going to have to actually go in and update this for it to calculate correctly. Now this might seem like a pain in the neck, but here's the good news. After I go through and I correct all of these, I'm not going to bother with that one because I demonstrated the heck out of this. I'll actually delete it at this point. So I have to expand all these to include that last row in order for it to add up correctly. And there's been times when I've not noticed that and what row my numbers were off. So make sure you're paying attention to that if you have to expand the date range. That said, if you use a delete command on this, it should autocorrect. So right now I have all these set up to add up to the 31st of May. Now I have it set up to include the last day of the month, which is May 31st. But let's say that I have to go backwards. Let's say I'm actually going back to let's say the month after this only has 30 days to it. I shouldn't have to go in and correct these twice. Here's what happens. All I'm going to do, let's say I had to make this into a 30-day month. And we can actually use April as the example because it had 30 days in it. So let's say I was going to switch this over to be for April. First thing I'm going to do is just delete this last row. Use the delete command. Do not use clear contents. Those are two different things. Use delete. Now, what's that going to do? Oh, look. It didn't just remove that row, it also removed that part of the equation. So it actually bumped it back. So it actually bumped it back to only add it up through row 31. And then if I want to change this to April, just to kind of round this all out, really easy to change your date range if you were going to do something like this. You know, if you want to make a similar KPI worksheet. See what happens here. I changed the month, and now as I go to drag this, it will give me the 30 days. Now, this is also smart enough to know if the month has 30 days. So if for some reason you want to go further than this, it will go into the next month and onward and onward and onward and onward. So after the 31st, it'll actually switch over to June. So that's about going to wrap this up. I think I showed a little more than I had originally intended to show. So I hope you guys got some extra value out of this, and I hope you can apply this. It's a really simple command, but there's just a lot you can do with it, especially if you bear in mind some basic math principles as you're working with it. If you want me to do a KPI dashboard like this for real estate agents, let me know in the comments below. I'll actually call up a few of my clients and we'll build one together, and that way I know it's not just something coming from me, it's coming from the perspective of an actual agent as well. So that will be something that maybe we can just kind of give away and people will enjoy it. Maybe we'll take it a step further and make a course out of it. I don't know. Or maybe we'll add it to the upcoming course that we're planning. Just tell me what you guys want to see. Tell me what you want to learn, and we'll figure out a way to get it to you if it's feasible. That's about going to wrap up this video. I'll see you in the next one. Have a great weekend.